So hello, Ashley. Great to chat with you today about your new thriller, Aftermath. How does it feel having this finally come out?
Thank you so much for having me. This is all so surreal. I feel like we haven't done this in so long. So I'm very happy to be here and very, very happy that Aftermath is finally coming out. This is something we shot 2 years ago, pre-pandemic. And so we're kind of uncertain of, how things were going to land, how the chips were going to fall. And Peter Winther kind of hung on to this, which I'm really grateful he did, to make sure it found a really great home. And we're now living on Netflix, which is kind of a dream for our film. So very, very excited.
And what can you tease about what goes on in the film and who you play in the movie?
Yes, so I played Natalie Dadich, and basically this film kind of starts out as my character Natalie and my husband Kevin are trying to rebuild a marriage that is on the rocks, and one of the ways that we want to kind of help ourselves, give ourselves a leg up, is to move into a new home, kind of get a change of scenery, and everything seems like it's on the mend and the up and up, and then things surrounding the house kind of start having these almost nefarious intentions, and a lot of unexplained things start happening and kind of wreak havoc on my psyche. And so you kind of see us go through the challenges of not only our marriage, but the challenges of kind of outside sources that are causing some really unpleasant things to happen.
I saw that you star opposite Shawn Ashmore. What was it like working with him on this project?
He's so lovely. He's Canadian. But yeah, I was very excited when he was cast. I think he's so talented, and he was just so lovely on set, and very, it's funny because we were acting with all of these kind of, crazy highs and lows and circumstances surrounding us. But he was this really kind of calm, collected entity for me while we were filming. And it was just a really good kind of baseline to have. So really, really thrilled that it was him.
Can you share a bit about what drew you to this project in particular, and what appealed to you about working on a thriller? And I also saw that it was based on true events, which is even more intense, I feel like.
Yeah, that definitely, the fact that it was based on true events certainly kind of weighed things in that direction for me when I was kind of considering taking the project or not. Because I think instantly it's just that much creepier when you know that this comes from something that was true. And, I really liked that there is, I think, the ability for the audience to fall in love with and get to know myself and Shawn Ashmore's character, Kevin, before things start kind of wreaking havoc on our life. And I think it's important that people care about us and care what happens to us, and that this film, yes, is a thriller and has these horror moments, but has a real heart to it, and it gives the ability for people to be able to connect to it on a deeper level. So for me, that was really important. And then the other thing is, I think that Natalie is very smart, and you don't always get that in these types of films. And she, I think, under immense amount of pressure, made some very kind of intelligent decisions and stands her ground. And so for me, that was very exciting. And then just the idea of having to kind of push my limits and see, it's a very heightened state throughout the course of the film. And I was kind of like, can I do it? How is this going to work out? And so, you always want something that's going to challenge you.
Well, I'm excited to see it, and I feel like fans are excited to see like this new kind of side of you, I feel like, in this film. I was also going to ask, I know that you brought up that this was shot pre-pandemic. Now that we're kind of getting into more normal times, you were able to have a premiere. I saw that your old pal, Peter Facinelli, was able to show up and show support. What was it like having that kind of mini Twilight reunion and having him show support for your film?
It's, because nobody has to do anything like that. It always just means the world, especially now. I think we're almost 15 years later. The fact that we're still able to have that kind of relationship is really meaningful to me. I think, with our cast in Twilight, we really did form this kind of family bond. And so it's lovely to see that kind of come through 15 years later. And then as far as the actual, I was surprised that we had a premiere, and I was pleasantly surprised because you just, during this pandemic, like everyone else, we were thrust into kind of this space of uncertainty, and our career paths were paused indefinitely for a while. And so to be able to kind of bounce back to the extent of actually having a premiere was just really exciting, because it is, I think we put so much hard work and love and energy into it, to kind of then be able to share it with the world at that capacity is something that I was really grateful for.
And as we mentioned before, Aftermath is coming to Netflix. I don't know if you've seen it kind of blowing up on Netflix, but the Twilight franchise is now on Netflix. Everyone has been watching it. I feel like it's had this whole resurgence recently. Even Olivia Rodrigo posted on Instagram about it. She's a big fan.
Yeah, of course. I like freaked out about that. I love her like everyone else. And my sister-in-law sent me the T-shirt she had. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, it's very exciting for Twilight to find. I feel like it's a long time coming, and I think, I don't know a person that doesn't love Netflix, and so to find a home there for both our film Aftermath and Twilight is I'm all over Netflix, and it's a very exciting thing for me.
And I was also going to ask, looking back, it's hard to believe that November it's going to mark 10 years since Breaking Dawn came out. What were some of your favorite memories of working on those films?
Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. Every time I mention how long ago it is, people are like, what?
It's crazy. It feels like it was just yesterday.
I know. And that's the other cool thing is that seeing us now finally get to Netflix and seeing that it's still so popular and that it still resonates with so many people is very, very cool. But favorite memories from filming, I think, the first doing Twilight was, I think, will always hold a special place in my heart, because I was so new. It was my first real job on a set for that amount of time, and so it was a heck of a job to come into as kind of your first real film, and that's where we kind of created these bonds. And then I think Breaking Dawn for me was very, very fun. I think for me, anything that is physically active is very fun for me. I grew up doing martial arts, and so being able to flex a little bit of that was very fun for me. And working with, I think, the caliber of actors that we were able to get for Breaking Dawn specifically was very exciting for me.
And who can ever forget that plot twist that your character predicted? Everyone was freaking out. I'll never forget that. That was a crazy time.
Speaking of premieres, that was another very cool thing, is being in a theater, right, at our premiere with so many fans and getting to firsthand hear their reactions when that happened is something incredible, something I'll never forget, because it's, we're like, oh yes, okay, we nailed it, because you just don't know how it's going to be received, right?
Yeah, I remember when I was there, I watched it like the day that it came out, and people were like screaming, like crying, like this didn't happen in the books. And I was like, okay, well, it's Alice, like maybe it's not real, I don't know.
You were onto it.
I kind of had a spoiler from one of my friends. So I was like, I had an idea that something was going to go down. I didn't know exactly what, but I was like, please let this not be true. So I'll never forget that. Last Twilight question, I promise. I actually spoke with your old co-star, Boo Boo Stewart, recently. He said he'd be down to return because there's a new book that came out, Midnight Sun. Would you ever be down to return if they approached you about something in the future?
I mean, absolutely. I think for me, it's no secret that Alice holds a special place in my heart, and I completely understand how other people relate to her so heavily, because I felt the same exact way. And so it's one of my most cherished memories is playing that character. I think, I got to go to set every day and just be this kind of positive ball of energy and sass. And it was very fun. And I would 100% do it again. I don't know, vampires aren't supposed to age is always a thing in the back of my head. So I'm like, how much money do they want to spend on making us younger again? But yeah, I think that would be incredible.
Well, I have to say, I feel like the Twilight cast has been aging incredibly well. I feel like you look the same as you did in the original movie. So I don't know if that would be a problem for you. But
I think it's probably because I feel like for 5 years of my life, I was not on the sun whatsoever. They were like, be as pale as possible. And I feel like that potentially helped us a little bit in the aging department.
The method acting in the rainy areas really helped out in the long term. Mm-hmm. Last question, jumping back to Aftermath, can you describe Aftermath in 3 words?
Ooh, Aftermath is heartfelt, surprising, and chilling.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today. It's great getting to meet you and talk about this new film. And I wish you all the best. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.